Why does conflict matter so much in storytelling? Whether it's a small inner struggle or a big external clash, conflict is the engine that drives every story. Without it, the story is just, well, a series of events.
I need more energy.
But with conflict, it becomes something powerful, something engaging, something worth watching. When I first started out, I didn't fully understand what conflict-driven storytelling meant. Sure, I knew that conflict, it was disagreements, struggles, fights, but I didn't know how to apply it to my films. I thought I could just follow a character and then that would be, enough. But soon I learned that if there's no conflict, there's not really a story. My first documentary, Zero Silence, it taught me this lesson the hard way. Because I was so focused on my characters, the activists fighting against the oppressive regimes during the Arab Spring.
And this is the place where everything changed.
That I missed a crucial element, the conflict. And yeah, there was conflict in their world, but I didn't layer it enough in my storytelling. I didn't fully capture the opposing voices, the doubts and the real tensions that could have made the narrative more compelling. I realized later that the conflict is what makes character change and grow and, keep the audience invested in the story. There are three main types of conflict in storytelling. Internal, external, and interpersonal. And each type, they add a different layer to the narrative. Internal conflict is about the struggles within a character's mind and soul, and then external conflict is about the challenges they face from outside forces, and interpersonal conflicts are about clashes between characters.
I'm all the time saying it could be me. It could be me because c'est bon.
In The Pearl of Africa, Cleo's internal conflict is deeply personal. She's transitioning from male to female, and that journey comes with its own set of struggles. And you can see her doubts, her fears, and her pain. This internal battle makes the audience feel what she's going through. And it's not just about the transition, it's about everything that comes with it. The emotional highs and lows. And that's what you have to try to capture to get that emotional response. But there's also an external conflict in The Pearl of Africa, and that's the fight against the societal norms and the laws and, what threatens LGBTQ lives in Uganda. It's about survival, and Cleo's story is layered both with internal and external conflicts, and that's what makes it powerful. One moment you're inside her mind, feeling her fear and courage, and the next one you're outside facing the danger with her. That's what makes it so freaking strong. Interpersonal conflict involves characters clashing with each other. And in The Pearl of Africa, we see this between Cleo and her family, and Cleo and Nelson. Nelson represents a kind of audience surrogate. He questions Cleo's decisions a little bit, and it adds, a different layer to the story because he's a little bit afraid of this whole situation. It raises doubts and creates tension and keeps the viewers engaged and thinking, and they relate more, I think, to Nelson than to Cleo many times until they get to know Cleo. Handling conflict in documentary filmmaking isn't always easy though. One of the hardest lessons I learned came from doing Zero Silence, my first film, and I didn't fully grasp the importance of showing both sides of the conflict, letting the conflict breathe in that way. The film ended up being biased towards one side without enough counterpoints to add depth to the story.
We have had it, and it's either they answer our demands or we are not leaving this square no matter what.
And I learned that you need to show those conflicting voices, even if they're uncomfortable, because it just creates more thinking space for the audience. And in the Puppy Mafia, the conflict started with a personal loss for myself, and it was the death of my dog, and I didn't think of it as a film at first. But with personal experience of losing something I loved, it just helped me understand the conflict on a deeper level. And it wasn't just about showing the external conflicts of the illegal puppy trading. It was also about my internal struggle and my grief and my anger. And layering these different types of conflict, it just makes the story more real and more relatable and more powerful. Sometimes you have to construct or heighten conflict to make it more cinematic. But you have to be careful, because I've learned that it's okay to tweak things as long as you're true to what Werner Herzog calls the ecstatic truth, a deeper, more meaningful truth about life. That's what makes a story resonate. It's not about lying, but it's about showing us humans a deeper understanding of what it means to be humans. And truth doesn't always get us there. The real truth, that is. Because the ecstatic truth, it heightens the immersion into the story so that you see life more clearly. Sort of like meditating or seeing, whatever God you're related to. I go by the gut feeling, but that means that having strong ethics and moral compasses is really important, and it's a balancing act between authenticity and the need to engage your audience. So for example, in Puppy Mafia, I use footage of my second dog's grief to show the impact of losing my first dog. It was constructed, totally. This was true though, even though it was constructed, if you look at it from a deeper emotional truth, the one that I wanted to convey. Too much of one type can feel flat, and too little, and the story lacks depth. So for example, in The Pearl of Africa, I had to balance Cleo's internal conflict, her journey of self-acceptance, with the external dangers that she faced in Uganda. And then I added interpersonal conflict through Nelson's and her family's doubts and questions. This layering, it created moments where the internal, external, and interpersonal conflicts intersected. And those moments became, turning points in the story. I learned that balancing conflicts is about creating a dance between what's happening inside the character and then around them, and then between them and others. And it's a dynamic process that just keeps the narrative moving all the time.
Most of us, and by most of us, I'm including myself because I was part of that. I did not know that there was actually transgender people. And not that I had not met them, I had, but I didn't know who they were. So.
Conflict is just more than an element of storytelling. It's a catalyst, and it's what drives characters to grow, change, and face fears. It's what makes the audience care, and that tension, the stakes, and the uncertainty, that's what makes a story worth telling.
In 6 hours, I will be out. Within 6 hours later, I'll be back.
So if you're an aspiring filmmaker, remember that don't shy away from conflict. Embrace it and use it, layer it. Use it to move the story forward, and even more importantly, make sure it's true to your characters, true to the story, and true to the deeper truths of the human experience. That's what you should focus on, rather than just showing what you documented. So thank you for watching, and if you want to learn more about documentary storytelling, then check out my Hero's Journey cheat sheet on learndocumentary.com/dochero. And don't forget to subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you are working with conflict in your films. Now check out this video if you want to learn how to tell a better story.